Welcome back to the channel, you beautiful degenerates. If you're new here, you're gonna love this. So hit that subscribe button because today we're diving into some real dystopian madness. I've got a story that'll make your blood boil, your jaw drop, and maybe, just maybe, make you question if we're living in a simulation run by clowns. Buckle up, because this one's a doozy. We're talking about a guy who literally crushed a man's skull with a pipe, left him in a wheelchair for life. And guess what? He's not going to prison. Nope. He's getting a taxpayer-funded vacation in a cushy diversion program. And why? Because apparently, in Democrat-run cities, you can get away with murder, attempted murder, literally, if you've got the right sob story. Let's break this down, shall we? My name is Sirius. This is Unfluenced. Let's get right into it. Now, this article comes straight out of Santa Monica, California, the land of sun, sand, and apparently zero accountability. Homeless man who crushed a victim's skull in Santa Monica gets diversion, not prison. Oh, you heard that right. Let's get right into this nitty-gritty because this story is a perfect storm of everything wrong with the so-called justice system in these blue state hellscapes. First, let's set the scene. Let's go back to March 3rd, 2023 in Santa Monica. A homeless guy named Job Uriah Taylor, 27 years old. By the way, don't give me that he's just a child nonsense. 27 years old. He decides he's got a mission. And what's that mission? Oh, nothing much. Just travel to Santa Monica, specifically to attack black people. Yeah, you heard that right. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was a targeted, hate-fueled rampage. So Taylor's out here shouting racial slurs, admitting to cops that his family sent him to Santa Monica to target black people. I mean, what kind of family reunion planning session ends with, hey Job, why don't you go bash some skulls in Santa Monica? I mean, who raised this guy? The freaking Addams family? So Taylor goes on a spree. 3 attacks in one day. The first 2 victims, they kind of got lucky. They escaped unharmed. But the third guy, Christian Hornburg. Now this man is 64 years old. He's just sleeping in a homeless camp near 5th Street Expo Station. He's minding his own business. He's probably dreaming of better days. But what does Taylor do? He grabs a pipe and crushes Hornburg's skull. Crushes his skull. Let that sink in for a second. This wasn't a slap on the wrist or a little shove. This was a brutal, unprovoked attack that left Hornburg with permanent brain damage. He's confined to a wheelchair. He's going to need support services for the rest of his miserable life. This man can't even care for himself anymore. His life, as he knew it, is over. And Taylor? Oh, don't worry about Taylor. He's got a get-out-of-jail-free card coming right up. We'll get to that in a second. Now, if you're thinking, okay, surely this guy's going to prison for life, you'd be wrong. Because apparently in Democrat cities like Santa Monica, you can commit attempted murder fueled by racial hatred and still walk away with a pat on the back and a taxpayer-funded hug. Let's keep going, because this story gets even more interesting. Now let's talk about the charges, because this is where things get really spicy. Taylor was initially charged with some pretty heavy stuff. Attempted murder, 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, not a firearm mind you, but a freaking pipe, and 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon with force resulting in great bodily injury. Oh, and because he was shouting racial slurs the whole time, and he admitted to targeting black residents, they slapped a hate crime enhancement on there too. I mean, this guy's resume is basically a checklist for how to be a monster. If this were a video game, Taylor would be the final boss you need to defeat to save the world from pure evil. Now, with charges like that, you'd think that Taylor is looking at a life sentence, right? I mean, he nearly killed a man, left him permanently disabled, and did it all while screaming racial slurs. Now, in a sane world, this guy would be locked up faster than you could say justice served. But no. Welcome to California, where the justice system is about as effective as a paper umbrella in a hurricane. Now, instead of facing a criminal trial that could have landed him in prison for life, Taylor gets sent to, drumroll please, a diversion program. Yeah, no prison, no real consequences, just a nice little program where he gets to live in permanent supportive housing, courtesy of the Office of Division and Reentry. That's ODR for short. Keep that in mind. We're going to be using that a lot later. Now, guess who's paying for that? You are. I am. Well, we all are. Because apparently taxpayers are now in the business of funding vacation homes for violent criminals. Isn't that just peachy? But it gets even better. The ODR program is supposed to help homeless people with serious mental health issues, right? And Taylor, to be fair, he does have a history of mental illness. Bipolar, schizoaffective disorder, plus a lovely cocktail of drug abuse. I mean, mostly heroin and meth. So the defense argues, oh, poor Job, he's just a misunderstood soul who needs treatment, not punishment. And the judge, Judge Lana S. Kim, by the way, we'll get to her in a minute. She buys it hook, line, and sinker. Now, Taylor gets to enroll in this program, and if he completes it in 2 years, his case gets dismissed, all charges dropped. As in, oops, sorry, you crushed a man's skull, but you're good now, buddy. You go live your best life. Meanwhile, Christian Hornburg, the victim, is still sitting in a wheelchair, unable to care for himself, permanent brain damage, no closure. But sure, let's focus on poor Job's feelings. I mean, that's the priority here, right? So let's talk about that courtroom, because this is where the real clown show happens. Picture this. Los Angeles Airport Courthouse, Wednesday morning. Christian Hornburg, the victim, is there. He's in his wheelchair, accompanied by Detective Jacob Holloway from the Santa Monica Police Department. He's represented by Deputy District Attorney David Dickman, who's been fighting for justice for Hornburg. On the other side, we've got Job Uriah Taylor, looking like he just walked out of a tattoo parlor with his slicked back hair and face tats, represented by Deputy Alternate Public Defender Nazila Shokrian. Now, presiding over this whole mess is Judge Lana S. Kim, who I'm starting to think might be the ringmaster of this circus. Now, they've got video evidence. They literally have body cam footage from the Santa Monica Police Department showing the horrific extent of Hornburg's injuries. This isn't some grainy security footage. This is up-close, raw, unfiltered proof of the brutality that Taylor inflicted. Now, the judge saw it back in January. But get this, the ODR reps, the ones pushing for Taylor to get into their program, they hadn't even bothered to watch it. Now, Dickman reached out to them, calls, emails, carrier pigeons probably, but they ghosted him. So in the middle of the hearing, they have to pause so Dr. Tori Montgomery from the ODR can watch the footage for the first time. And what does she say? Oh, well, he meets our clinical diagnosis eligibility. We've got him diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type, and we think he's treatable. That's a quote. Treatable. Sure, lady, I bet it's treatable until he stops taking his meds or goes on another skull-crushing spree. We'll get to that. Now, Dickman, bless his heart, he tries to push back to the judge. He asks some pretty obvious questions like, hey, what happens if Taylor just walks out of the program? Because, spoiler alert, there's basically zero security in these programs. Montgomery hems and haws, saying it might take 3 to 4 weeks for Taylor's mental health to deteriorate if he stops taking his meds. And if he leaves without authorization, It takes ODR 72 hours to notify officials. 72 hours. That's 3 days for this guy to disappear, to score some meth, grab another pipe, and ruin someone else's life. Hey, but don't worry, Montgomery's got it all under control. She's reluctant to speculate about the risks. Oh my God, that's so comforting. I feel so safe knowing that the ODR is on the case. So the hearing drags on. The hearing lasts way longer than the usual 20 minutes that Judge Kim has been breezing through that morning. She's visibly frustrated. She calls for a recess and comes back after lunch to hear closing statements. Now, Dickman makes a solid point. He says, hey, maybe ODR isn't right for everyone. It's great for some people, but not for a guy who's a proven racist, a violent offender, and has a history of drug abuse. Now, Shokrian, Taylor's defender, counters with, wait, but he's been taking his meds for 8 months. He's totally reformed now. Oh my God, 8 months? Wow, give this man a medal. 8 months of not being a complete monster while he's locked up and medicated. See, that totally erases the fact that he crushed a man's skull and left him for dead. Now, at this point, Hornburg, the victim in the wheelchair, can't take it anymore. He wheels himself out of the courtroom in disgust and says, what about me? I don't get a second chance? My life as I used to know it is over. And you know what Judge Kim does? She asks if he'll reconsider staying. Reconsider staying, like he's just there for a popcorn and a good show. The man has been waiting 2 years for some form of justice, and he's watching the system bend over backwards to coddle the guy who destroyed his life. And then, here's the kicker, Judge Kim rules in favor of Taylor. She sends him to the ODR program with some, quote, stringent conditions. Like, if he's even 20 minutes late, I want to be notified. Wow, Judge Kim, you're really laying down the law there. I bet Taylor is quaking in his boots at the thought of being 20 minutes late to his free housing appointment. So what's the fallout? Now, Taylor gets to enroll in this ODR program. Will he live in permanent supportive housing? Again, paid by taxpayers like you and me. If he completes the 2-year program, his case gets dismissed. It's gone. No record, no consequences, no nothing. Meanwhile, Christian Hornburg is left with nothing. No closure, no justice, just a lifetime of suffering. He says, I'm the victim. And the victim didn't have any rights here. I've spent 2 very long years waiting for some form of justice. And you know what Deputy DA Dickman says outside the courtroom? Justice was not done today. This is a quote. Justice was not done today. In 30 years as a deputy district attorney, this is the worst decision I have ever seen. End quote. 30 years. This guy's seen it all. And this is the worst decision he's ever witnessed. That's how bad this is. Oh, but don't worry, guys. Judge Kim's got it all under control. She's going to be very clear about Taylor's progress. If he messes up, she wants to be notified as soon as possible. Oh gosh, thank you. I feel so much better now. I'm sure Taylor is going to be a model citizen in this program, right up until the moment he decides he doesn't feel like taking his meds anymore. Then he walks out the door, and he finds another pipe, and he starts playing whack-a-mole on someone else's skull. And when that happens, I am sure Judge Kim will be like, oh darn, I guess we should have locked him up after all. But by then, it'll be too late for his next victim. Now let's get into the meat of why this story is so infuriating, like you couldn't figure this out on yourself. Criminals can now get away with murder if they live in Democrat cities. And I'm not exaggerating here. Taylor didn't just get a slap on the wrist. He got a full-on spa day. Attempted murder, hate crimes, assault with a deadly weapon, and he's walking free, living in taxpayer-funded housing, while his victim rots in a care facility. This isn't justice. This is a mockery of justice. And it's happening because Democrat-run cities like Santa Monica have decided that criminals deserve more rights than victims. It's the same story we've seen over and over and over, like places like San Francisco, LA, Portland, pick your poison. You can commit heinous crimes as long as you've got a sob story about mental illness or homelessness. You're golden. Meanwhile, the victims, they're just collateral damage in the quest to be progressive. Let me break it down for you. In these blue state utopias, the narrative is always the same. Oh, come on, we can't punish people for being mentally ill or homeless. Yeah, fine, I get it. Mental illness is real. Homelessness is a problem. But here's the thing. Mental illness doesn't give you a free pass to crush someone's skull. Being homeless doesn't mean you get to target black residents with racial hatred and walk away scot-free. If you commit violent crime, you should face the consequences. Period. How is this hard to understand? But in Democrat cities, they flipped the script. Victims like Christian Hornburg are forgotten, while criminals like Job Uriah Taylor get a second chance, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth, until they finally kill someone. And even then, I bet they're still going to find a way to let them off with a warning. Now, it's almost like these cities are competing to see who can be the most compassionate to criminals. Oh, you only crushed one skull? That's fine. Here's some free housing. What's next? A loyalty program? You commit 5 felonies, you get the 6th one free? I wouldn't be surprised if Santa Monica starts handing out get-out-of-jail-free cards with every meth pipe. It's a freaking joke. And the punchline is that the victims, like Hornburg, are the ones paying the price. We need to bring back mental hospitals, or asylums if you want to get old school. Asylums for the criminally insane. Because clearly, programs like the ODR aren't cutting it. Look, I'm not saying we need to go full one flew over the cuckoo's nest here, but we need secure facilities where people like Job Uriah Taylor can be locked up, treated, and just kept away from society until they're no longer a threat. And I don't care if that lasts forever. Because right now, the system is letting dangerous people roam free under the guise of treatment and putting everyone at risk. So let's break down this ODR program. Let's dig into this a little bit. It's supposed to provide permanent supportive housing for homeless people with serious mental issues, right? Okay, sounds great on paper. But here's the reality. By the end of 2024, they had 2,747 people in the program. Over the course of that year, they lost track of 511 people. they lost track of them. That's 511 potentially dangerous individuals who just vanished. Poof, gone. Another 154 went back to jail. Only 79 actually made it to permanent housing. Now the rest are just chilling in transitional housing, probably plotting their next move. I don't know. And now Taylor is one of them. He's a guy with a history of violence, racism, and drug abuse, who's already proven he's capable of crushing a man's skull without a second thought. And we're supposed to trust that he's going to stay in this program and take his meds and become a model citizen? Yeah, I'm highly skeptical. I've got a better chance of winning the lottery while being struck by lightning during a shark attack. You gotta be kidding me. Now, back in the day, we had mental hospitals for people like this. If you were a danger to society, you got locked up in a secure facility where you couldn't hurt anyone. You got treatment, sure, but you weren't walking down the streets until you were stable. Now, we've got these half-baked diversion programs that are basically just revolving doors. Now, Taylor stops taking his meds, walks out the door, and ODR's like, well, we'll let someone know in 72 hours. 72 hours. That's enough time for him to commit a dozen more crimes. We need to bring back real mental hospitals, secure ones for the criminally insane. Because if you're crushing skulls and screaming racial slurs, I'm sorry, man. You don't belong in society. You belong in a padded room with a straitjacket, not in a taxpayer-funded apartment with a view of the beach. Now, taxpayers are being forced to pay for these people who will never contribute, but only take from society. Let's talk about that for a second, because this is where it gets really personal. You and I, hardworking people who pay our taxes, go to work, just try to live our lives, are now on the hook. We're on the hook for Job Uriah Taylor's new life. This guy who's never contributed a dime to society, spent his life committing crimes, doing drugs, and now crushing skulls, gets to live in a permanent supportive housing, courtesy of the ODR. Who's paying for that? We are. Every single one of us. Think about it. You're busting your butt. You're working 40 hours a week, paying taxes, trying to afford groceries in this inflation hellscape. And what's your tax money going towards? Is it fixing potholes? Is it building better schools, helping veterans? No. You're literally being forced to fund a cozy little apartment for a guy who tried to murder someone. Taylor gets housing, clinical assessments, medication, and treatment support for as long as he needs it. Meanwhile, Christian Hornburg, the victim, stuck in a care facility, probably struggling to afford the care he really needs, because I'm gonna be willing to bet the state isn't bending over backwards to help him. Well, at least not in the same way they're helping Taylor. And let's be real here. Taylor, he's never gonna contribute to society. He's got a criminal history in multiple states, by the way. A drug problem, a penchant for violence. He's a screaming racist. This isn't some guy who's just down on his luck and needs a little help. This is a career criminal who's been taking from society his entire life. And now we're rewarding him with free housing. It's like giving a gold medal to the kid who set the school on fire. The best part, if Taylor completes the program, his case gets dismissed. No charges. And he gets to stay in that housing forever. So we're not just paying for him now, we're paying for him forever. Isn't that just the American dream? Work hard, pay your taxes, and fund a violent criminal's retirement plan? God bless America, am I right? Now, corrupt Democrat judges need to hold people accountable for crimes instead of giving a free pass to criminals. Let's go back. Let's talk about this judge, Lana S. Kim, because she's the real MVP of this disaster. This woman had a chance to do the right thing, to lock up a dangerous, racist, violent offender. And instead, she chose to let him walk free. Why? Well, because she's bought into this whole progressive justice nonsense that's infected Democrat-run cities like a virus. It's all about rehabilitation and compassion for the criminal, while the victim gets screwed over. And Kim's not alone. This is not to isolate her. This is a pattern of Democratic judges. Think about it. Judge Kim, she saw the body cam footage. She knew how brutal this attack was. She heard Hornburg's plea. What about me? I don't get a second chance. And still, she decided that Taylor deserved a second chance more than Hornburg deserved justice. She even had the audacity to call her conditions stringent. Like, oh, if he's 20 minutes late, I want to be notified. Wow, Judge Kim, you're really cracking down there. Now, I'm guessing Taylor is terrified of being tardy to his therapy session. Meanwhile, Hornburg, his life is ruined. Judge Kim doesn't really seem to care. She's more concerned with looking compassionate than actually protecting the people of California. This is what happens when you let Democrat judges run the show. They're so obsessed with their progressive ideals, they forget what justice is supposed to look like. Justice isn't letting a violent criminal walk free because he's got mental health issues. Justice is holding people accountable for their actions, regardless of their sob story. Taylor crushed a man's skull, left him permanently disabled, and did it with racial hatred in his heart. He should be in prison, not a diversion program. But Kim, like so many other Democrat judges, would rather give him a free pass than do the hard thing and lock him up. And when Taylor inevitably reoffends, because let's be real, he will, who's going to hold Kim accountable? No one. She'll just move on to the next case, handing out more free passes like they're candy at a parade. We are living in the states of America. We are no longer united. When Democrat states won't protect victims and basically make crime legal, this story is a perfect example of how divided the country has become. On one side, you've got red states where criminals actually face consequences, where if you crush someone's skull, you're going to prison, no questions asked. On the other side, you've got blue states like California, where you can commit heinous crimes and walk away with a taxpayer-funded apartment and a pat on the back. It's two completely different Americas. They're not united anymore. Now think about it. If this had happened in a red state, Taylor would be in prison right now, probably for life. But because this happened in Santa Monica, in a Democrat-run California, he gets a free pass. And this isn't just about Taylor. It's about the bigger picture. Democrat states are creating a system where crime is basically legal. You can assault people, you can commit hate crimes, even attempt murder. Now, as long as you've got a good sob story or you're homeless, you're good to go. Meanwhile, victims like Christian Hornburg are left to suffer with no justice, no closure, no support. It's a system that prioritizes criminals over victims. It's tearing this country apart. We are not the United States anymore. We are the states of America. Red states where justice still means something, and blue states where justice is just a buzzword for letting criminals run free. And if you're a law-abiding citizen in a blue state, good luck, you're on your own. Because the system isn't there to protect you. It's there to protect people who hurt you. Isn't that a warm, fuzzy feeling? I bet Christian Hornburg feels so safe knowing that the guy who crushed his skull is living it up in a taxpayer-funded apartment, just waiting for his next chance to strike. So there you have it, folks. A homeless guy crushes a victim's skull, leaves him permanently disabled, and instead of going to prison, he gets a free pass in a diversion program, courtesy of a corrupt Democrat judge. A broken system and your tax dollars. This is the reality of living in a blue state in 2025. Criminals get away with murder, victims get screwed, and taxpayers foot the bill. And if we don't start bringing back real mental hospitals, holding judges accountable, and uniting this country around actual justice, it's gonna get worse. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Uriah Taylor is gonna turn his life around, become a motivational speaker, and write a book called How to Crush Skulls and Still Win at Life. I mean, if Democrat cities have taught us anything, it's that anything's possible when you've got the right sob story. What do you think? Should Taylor be in prison? Or are you cool with him living it up on your dime? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If I dare you. I want to hear what you have to say. And if you're as pissed off as I am, smash that like button, share this video. Send this out to one or two people who need to hear this. None of the people that watch MSNBC and CNN every day are going to hear this story. They're never going to hear it, and they need to. So until next time, stay safe out there. I mean, especially if you're in a blue state, you're going to need all the luck you can. I got more stories coming up soon, so I'll see you in a little bit.